Welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming and a complete loss of wokeness. You have been warned.
And welcome, everyone, to the Non-Sequitur Show. Sorry that I have not had a show in a couple weeks. I've been busy. Everybody knows now I've gone back to work. So I'm kind of like, doing this when I can. I've obviously been trying for like at least once a week. And in August, I think I've got more of a set schedule that I can kind of plan ahead. But planning these have been very difficult because I've had a lot of things I wanted to do, but then I find out I have to work that night. And it just doesn't work out. So I've had to move some things around. But, hey, we got something great for you tonight. I think this is going to be one of the better flat earth things that we've ever done, because we not just have a flat earther, we have the holy trinity of flat earth. We've got somebody who's a flat earther, a young earth creationist, and a presuppositional apologist, all combined in one. I mean, if that's not the most formidable opponent that Red's rhetoric would ever have to deal with, I don't know what is. So anyways, let's get started here. First, let me introduce the person whose reign of terror for flat earth supremacy is about to end, because I think he's going to go down this time, is Red's Rhetoric. Hi, Reds.
Hi.
Oh, that's loud. Oh, I think I got a big gain on that. So are you concerned at all, Reds, going into this?
Totally, I guess. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm predicting a train wreck. I think that's where we're headed, but time will definitely tell.
Well, I got to. I've talked to the Ultimated Christian on my channel for actually a few hours the other day, and it was a pretty interesting conversation, actually. I mean, because we dive more into the philosophy, which you don't do, and we dive more into like presuppositional apologetics, but we didn't get any of the flat earth stuff. And I specifically told him that I wanted to put that aside. I was like, I don't want to do the flat earth stuff. If I want to do the flat earth stuff, let's go on the Non-Sequitur Show. I'll arrange it with Reds, and we'll have a conversation there. So he joyfully agreed to it. He only has about an hour, but Ultimated Christian, is that pretty much what happened, right, bud?
Yes, I had a discussion with Steve the other day. This would be on Flat Earth. So I have a YouTube channel, Ultimated Christian, where I talk about presuppositional, predenominational Christianity, Christian perfection, perfect being theology, young earth creationism, and Flat Earth. So that's a bit about me and my YouTube channel.
So it's a little bit of everything. And by the way, you do have a lot of videos on your channel all about this stuff.
Yes, primarily on Christianity.
All right, so I'm going to start this kind of off. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily like a debate or anything like that. It's all free form. All three of us kind of discuss stuff. But first, I want to explain to Reds why you think, from a presuppositionalist apologist point of view, I can maybe give you the young creationism why you're that, but why, being a presupper, do you have any inclination to be a flat earther?
Because I presuppose a flat earth. So even before reading the Bible or having an understanding on science, the earth can be proven to be flat. So that's my position that I'll be taking, that I'm a presuppositionalist flat earther.
All right, so Reds, I'm gonna throw you this ball here. So he's gonna argue that he presupposes the earth is flat but then also says that the Earth is flat because of scientific evidence. So it's going to be in your genre right there.
As far as the scientific aspect is concerned, no, that's incorrect. The Earth is scientifically and measurably not flat. And if he's going to argue it from a presuppositionalist standpoint, then what I'm hearing is I'm starting from a foundation that is wrong, and I just don't care about anything else after that.
Well, he wins by fiat then, right? Because he just says it's the case.
Pretty much. Basically, it is because it is, and no matter what you say, no matter what evidence you put forward, it's not going to matter because I just presuppose that you're wrong and job done.
What do you, and by the way, instead of saying ultimated Christian all the time, man, I'm just going to call you UC because it's easier. So UC, how do you defeat Reds on that?
Okay, well, the earth is flat because God looks down on it and judges everyone equally. Psalms 53:2. So to present a syllogism for that, premise 1, earth's below God's throne. Premise 2, earth faces God's throne. Conclusion, therefore, the earth's flat. So what's your response to that?
I can write words in a book that say nonsense as well. It's nothing special. That's my response.
I haven't referenced, in my syllogism, I haven't referenced the Bible. So we know that the earth is facing God's throne. As God is righteousness, he would judge everybody equally. It wouldn't make sense to have a sphere earth.
You do understand that you're getting.
Sorry, I've got to answer this phone call. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Remember when I said this was going to be a shit show?
Oh yeah. Well, welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. Do you know where you're at, man? Have you been here before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is.
I like how somebody says though. I presuppose something and then I also know. It's you can't do that. If you presuppose something, you're doing it as an assumption. You're not doing it as a knowledge claim. You don't say I know that induction will continue to work day after day. You do it as a belief, but it's an unjustified belief because of Hume's problem of induction. So, is it that he presupposes the Earth is flat, or he knows the Earth is flat? Because I think those are contradictions.
It's both depending on the context. It's both depending on the context. But I think what we're gonna see here is that he's going to jump between the two whenever the fuck he wants.
So vacillating between just by fiat, by presuppositionalism.
It's not going to be solid. I mean, Steve. Presuppers do not have solid positions when it comes to argumentation. They will flip-flop. It has always been the case.
See, I think you sound scared, Reds. I can hear it in your voice. It's
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I am back.
Okay. Welcome
Sorry
back.
about that. I do have to catch a plane to catch later. That's why.
Yeah, by the way, let my audience know. I'm going to let my audience know. One, he is not opposed, straight up. But it's kind of funny because he does have a plane to catch in less than about an hour and a half or something like that. And it's funny because he's flying somewhere which requires a spherical Earth to navigate, and he's using a cell phone that uses GPS and satellites in space that prove the Earth is not flat. So
let's try this. First of all, I would say that every single idea that you have about God or Jesus or his throne or the direction in which you're looking at to see the damn thing in the first place, all that comes from the Bible. All that comes from a source. You didn't just come up with that yourself, so it's not presupposed. It's a learned thing, and then you apply that to your presuppositional apologetics. It's a way of deluding yourself into thinking that
it's not. It's an ontological argument that before reading the Bible and coming to the understanding of the scientific method, we know that the Earth is flat because it faces God's throne. God sits above the Earth's face.
You don't think an all-powerful God can look around the Earth?
He could, but
he could, couldn't he? He's kind of all-powerful. He can do that shit, couldn't he?
He could, but on the personal, it's more personal if he looks down and judges us equally.
So he's never looking in any other
direction. All of us equally on a round Earth, dude. Yeah, we're talking about an all-powerful God. Does your God have any limitations to his power?
No.
Okay, then he can judge us quite equally on a round Earth. Thank you.
No,
so, guys, thank you very much for tuning in.
Well,
then you're dismissing. Well, then, if you want me to reference the Bible proves a flat Earth as well within one verse. But I'm trying to stick this to an ontological argument. is
Let's
that
try.
yes, God could create a spherical earth, but because he is righteousness, he would judge everybody equally without putting aside people upside down.
Wait.
So
You're talking as if God does not have the capability or the power or anything else. Like you're basically saying, yeah, God could do it this way. God has the power of doing it this way, but he didn't because reasons. And what are these reasons? I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
But
upside down as relevant, relative to whom? Are you you're on where? I mean, you're Australian, right?
I'm from God, and that's the only information I could give you
But
on
you're
that.
all right,
okay. But
anyway,
you're not
let
in
me
the
try
same
something
hemisphere
like
as
this.
me.
Steve, I'm gonna branch away from the theology, and because he said God could make the round earth work with whatever the fuck he wants to do about judging people, judgmental prick. But anyway, let me just ask one question. The International Space Station, do you believe in it?
I'm not too familiar with it. Why is
Do you
that?
know that it exists? Do you know it's something that you can see yourself?
I have not seen it, but I have heard of it.
Okay. If the International Space Station exists and it's up there and it's orbiting around the Earth and you can track it and see it for yourself and you can actually predict where it's going to be using mathematics that were derived from, orbits and such, what does that do to your belief about the Earth being flat? Doesn't that put it, give you a little bit of doubt, just a little, maybe a smidge?
Well, no, because what you have just said presupposes God. So you are presupposing the righteousness of God, which would only comport with a flat earth. So you're
I
invoking
don't think I
science.
said the word God. I think I said the International Space Station. Now, if you want to say the International Space Station is God, well, who am I to disagree? So,
Oh, hell.
No, for you to identify that you are observing a space station, you have to presuppose God as a
no, I
reference
don't.
point. Yes, you do. The law
No,
of
I don't.
identity. The law of identity comports with God's nature.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You're just saying words at this point as filler. They don't actually mean anything. Again, you can actually observe the International Space Station yourself. Now, if you want to say that your gift of sight is a gift from God and your ability to understand what you're looking at is a gift from God, then boy, you do you. But God also gave you the ability to do mathematics, I'm assuming. God gave you the ability to discern fact from bullshit, I'm assuming. So if you're able to go outside and you're able to see the International Space Station for yourself, you're able to measure its altitude, its size, its speed, and then come to the conclusion that's traveling at orbital velocity, a figure that coincidentally matches orbital mechanics, which would, mean round. What do you do with that information? God is giving you all these gifts. Do you tell him to go fuck himself, or do you listen to what he's telling you through his work and his ability to give you discernment, the ability to do math, and so on?
Well, you still have to presuppose God for math, as he represents the number one. So, in other words, God is infinite in size.
One
So
and
for you-
infinite are the same, guys. You heard it here first.
One and
Yes, God is
infinite.
absolute.
Yeah, just run that mathematical thing again.
So, by default, God represents the number one, as he is absolute, not contingent on anything outside of him. So, in other words, he is infinite in size. So, for you to all come up with these numbers, you have to presuppose God again.
One is
No,
not
we just have to
though.
presuppose quantity. That's the only thing we have to presuppose. God doesn't factor into that at all. Okay,
Yes,
so
he does.
no, there's quantity. Now you can have a quantity of grapes, you can have a quantity of liquids, you can have a quantity of the brain cells that I'm losing in this debate. You can have a quantity of a lot of things, but when discussing quantity, you don't have to discuss God.
Yes, you do.
No,
And
you don't. Notice how that
everything you
entire
talk about,
thing didn't involve God at all.
every utterance that comes out of your mouth, you are presupposing God, because he is the ultimate reference point. So for you to do mathematics, for you to identify space stations, etc.
Wait a minute. Let's see what kind of presupper you are, because you might be the type of presupper that doesn't do this thing, or you might be the presupper that actually disproves the existence of his own God. So I'm going to see which one you are, if I may. This might solve a lot of problems. Are you the type of presupper that asserts that I know that God exists?
You know of God, but you may not know God on a personal level.
I'm not talking about personal level. I'm talking about just mere existence. Are you the type of presupper that asserts that I know for a fact that God exists?
Yes.
Okay. Does your God have the ability to tell lies?
Well, firstly, it is our God. So is this question of yours relevant to the flat Earth topic?
It will be later. It will be
clearly.
later. I'm getting to that, but just answer this question. Does your God, or if you want to say our God, fine, I won't stop you. Does our God lie?
No.
Okay, he doesn't lie. So he told you that I know for a fact that he exists in some way, shape, or form, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then your God doesn't exist. Okay, so now that we know that your particular version of God does not exist, which means I don't need to reference him at all when talking about whether or not the Earth is round or flat, how do you come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat?
Well, hang on. You made an assertion. For you to utter the word God, you have to presuppose his fundamental attributes, which comports
I can also
with...
utter the word Sephiroth. Do I have to presuppose his fundamental attributes, even though he's nothing more than a figure in a comic book, TV screen, computer screen, or video game?
Yeah, you would have to presuppose his fundamental creatureliness. However, God
Can you say
is...
that word again, please?
Creatureliness.
Creatureliness.
So God is an ultimate being. So for you to identify that you are a creature, you have to presuppose God as an ultimate reference point. So
No, but that doesn't make any sense because your God doesn't exist. So how does that work?
That's a contradiction. For you
No,
to
it
say
isn't,
that
because
for you to say that X doesn't exist, you have to presuppose X.
no, in order to say that your God does exist, you have to have put forward a non-contradictory entity, which is what you did. So I can say that an entity doesn't exist without accepting that they do beforehand. That wouldn't make any sense.
You have to, for whatever thing you're trying to prove or talk about, you have to presuppose its fundamental attributes. God, for example...
In order to talk about stuff, you don't have to accept the existence of certain concepts. You can accept them as a concept, like I accept that the concept of God exists, but when it comes to its existence in the ultimate sense, that's something different than discussing the concept itself. Do you not understand this?
I understand what you're saying. However, concepts / information doesn't come out of nothing.
Actually, they can do. It's called creativity. So, like, you know, you have goblins and dragons and shit like that. So creativity, for example, early man were very creative. Your God actually shares a lot of characteristics with Thor and Odin and Ra and Isis and all these other fucking creatures.
They're not ultimate.
And in their cultures, they were more ultimate than your gods, okay? If anything, your God is like number 3rd on the totem pole, maybe in terms of power. I mean, the fact is that they have creatures in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that will put your God to shame.
The one above all. Or was that DC?
But the thing is that here's the mistake that you made. The mistake that you made, which demonstrates that your particular God does not exist, is that we have a contradiction. The contradiction is that you asserted that your God told you that I know for a fact that God exists. That is not true. I'm just going to tell you right now, that is not true. But you also said your God doesn't lie, but he would be lying to you in that particular case when it comes to my belief in him or not believe in him. So that means that if your God cannot lie, but is lying, if he is defined as not being able to lie and he just did, then your God by definition does not exist. And keep in mind, we're talking about concepts here. So for you to then come back to me and say, well, you have to presuppose God in order to refute God. No, I just had to bring forward a concept. So go ahead and bring forward that rebuttal, which has already been addressed.
Again, concept/information doesn't come out of nothing. God
See what
has
I
to
did
reveal
there?
himself to you in order for you to identify that you are a finite being contingent on God, as he is an ultimate
But I'm not
being.
contingent on God.
Yes, you are.
So
No, no, I'm
let me
not.
ask
You
you,
can
UC.
assert that.
Let me ask you, UC. So real quick, I got a couple things on the table here. Live chat's going nuts. First, I have been to your channel. You do have videos on your channel that are literally 8 or 9 hours long of you talking about these things, correct?
Yes, not
Yes.
specifically on flat Earth, more on Christianity.
Yeah.
Proving
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, but it's generally on these types of topics. And so I had to come to the conclusion you are the most dedicated poet I've ever seen in my life, or you truly believe it. And I looked at some of your stuff, and I think you really do honestly believe this stuff. So, yeah, I don't think you're Poe. And I look, I actually even told Reds one time, and Reds, by all means, just throw our personal communications out there if you wish. I don't care. But have I not told you that I believe that almost all flat earthers are Poes? I mean, I think that the vast majority, Jeranism, all that whole fuckery, all of them, I think almost all of them are Poes. I mean, that's pretty.
Them, yeah.
So I mean, I'm like hard to convince that somebody's not a Poe. I don't think UC is a Poe.
All right. Well, let's try that. I'm going to ask
I could
a
be
series
wrong.
of questions. Well, let's see.
Right,
I'm going to ask a series of questions. I'm going to try my best to branch away from God. Let's see if we can actually get some science in on this. So, do you know Tampa, Florida?
Well, no, but you haven't addressed my argument.
Where
My
I
argument-
don't think I'm going to, because I believe that your argument is a circle, and circular arguments don't actually need to be addressed. They just fall flat on their face without me having to do much of anything. So going back to Tampa, though, there's a skyline. And if you go to the north side of a bridge called the Skyway Bridge, you'll be looking at Tampa from 24 miles away. Half of the towers are below the horizon. Why is that?
Well, before I address that, because I wouldn't even know how to answer that, but your claim,
Wait, you
God
don't know
is
how
a
to answer that?
Yes, I don't know how to answer that, but you made a claim earlier, God is a brute fact. So you said that it's circular. It is circular, but it's not fallacious, because God comports with the law of identity. The law of identity is circular, but it's not false. So your claim has been refuted.
Actually, that's not true. Circular
circular
reason requires where you can determine a conclusion from a single premise. That's A equals A is a single premise. It's not an argument, so it can't be circular.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So why do I see that the towers, like half of the towers, are below the horizon?
Hang on, that's a train. Sorry about that. Can you repeat your question?
Yes. So once again, I'm looking at Tampa, the Tampa Bay skyline, or just the Tampa skyline, from 24 miles away. Half of the towers are below the horizon. Why is that?
Well, that could be your false perception, on things.
False perception that also shows up in cameras and telescopes and stuff like that, so they have false perception as well?
Yeah, because you could just be possibly lying about that. So
even though I have a video of it with 18,000 views?
Well, again, how would you test your authenticity of the video? It's too much speculation with your...
You could go out there and do it yourself. I give the location, I give the direction to look, and I also show the exact coordinates of the damn thing. So you can type it into your Google Maps or Waze or whatever GPS you want to do. Go out there and do it yourself. And to this day, I know of only one other person that's actually done it, and they got the same results. So tell me, why do we only see the top half of the towers, not the bottom half?
Well, again, I've not experienced something like that, so I can't.
But I have. So tell me what I am experiencing, because I'm looking at this and I'm saying, oh, I'm experiencing the curve of the Earth right here. But if the Earth is flat, then what's blocking the towers?
Well, you could just be lying.
Despite the fact that I have a video of it. So we already got rid of the lie part because I literally recorded the damn thing.
No, but then again, the video itself could be misrepresenting in what is in actuality. So your
So my
argument
video
is
was
not.
CGI.
Well, let's
Yeah,
say you do
even
this.
that-
Let's say you were there. Let's say you were in Florida. Now I get you're not American, so I'm not going to criticize you. You don't know where Tampa is at. Nobody should go to Tampa anyways. But whatever. But if you went to Florida, which is one of the states in the United States, and you actually saw what Reg is talking about, and you actually saw the fact that we cannot see a substantial part of the bottom of those towers. And what are these basically these towers, these big electrical things that just go over the horizon. And so when you look at them, they curve and you can't see the very bottom of them because they're over you're outside your line of sight. Now, if you see this, right? Yeah, you can call Red's a liar. You can call everybody else a liar. You can say that all these optics are just FUBAR or whatever. But if you saw it for yourself, how would you rationalize that?
Well, that's so hypothetical, and
Yes,
I
it
can't
is.
answer that because God wouldn't lie.
Well, that's not an answer though. And by the way, God can send strong delusions. That's in the Bible. But it doesn't matter whether God can lie or not. How do you rationalize it?
Again, I said because it's a hypothetical, I can't answer that legitimately because God is righteousness, so He would create a flat Earth.
But then your eyes are lying. Something's
God
lying.
is righteously showing you that the bottom of the towers have been obscured by a giant hump of water. So how would you rationalize?
Oh yeah,
that?
by the way, I'm confusing Link Pontchartrain with Tampa. My bad. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jared. Yeah.
Well, then my response to that is God, at that moment, is manipulating the Earth, but not. That wouldn't be the starting point for the shape of the Earth.
So everyone in Tampa experienced a gigantic fucking earthquake and a lot of people died.
What about that?
Because is that what you mean by manipulated the Earth? I mean, the only way... So basically, the Earth was flat until you showed up to look through a telescope. And the very moment you did, God just went, yeah, let's just bow this motherfucker a little. You know, just to fuck with these guys who are looking through a telescope. Is that what's happening?
It wouldn't. No, you wouldn't do. Well, it wouldn't do that. To manipulate the Earth without any collateral damage. So just enough for me to identify this change. So again, this is a hypothetical. This contradicts
really
God's.
It's not, because what you keep saying is a hypothetical. Let me repeat myself. I recorded it.
Well, the
There's a video on YouTube that shows my observation.
The hypothetical is that he's there observing it.
Yeah, the hypothetical is that you're there, but the actual fact that we see this hump of water blocking Tampa, that's not hypothetical. So you're there. You're seeing what I'm seeing. That way you can't say CGI. You can't say I manipulated the footage in any way, shape, or form. You can't say any of that. You're there seeing it through a telescope, which is just mirrors and glass. So no electronics involved whatsoever for CGI probing to be a thing.
Yeah, so
how would you rationalize that?
So we're talking about the skyline, right? The Tampa Bay skyline?
Yeah, the Tampa Bay skyline, correct.
Well, then that I would put that to God. God would be the one altering my perception.
Why would he do that?
Why is he doing such a thing?
Well, I wouldn't know. So that's probably the only answer that I could give you.
So you can't trust your own senses because God may be manipulating your senses. For what reason?
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't know because I would be presupposing a flat Earth until I look through this telescope. And
wouldn't it make sense more that your presupposition needs to be adjusted and changed? If your observations, here's the thing, like in science, right? If observations don't match your presuppositions are wrong.
You're literally looking at the curvature of the Earth. It's slamming your eye hole pretty hard. And if you want to say, well, God's just making it that way, fine. But why couldn't it have been the case that God made it that way in the first place?
Yeah, instead of, AT2 Production said exactly what I was thinking. God doesn't lie, but this God manipulates your perception, your sense perception. That doesn't make any sense. Why would God make a flat Earth and then manipulate your senses rather than just make a round Earth and have your senses match accordingly?
It seems like your God is making a really funny YouTube video just fucking with people's senses for no reason. So it's like if you wanted to say that the Earth was flat, fine, but you got to have something more than a presupposition to back that up, considering you can actually measure the damn thing. You can see the curve of the Earth for yourself. And you also said that's perfectly fine for God to do his work on a round Earth. So the idea of a flat Earth just seems like a really unnecessary step when you
Right.
can look
Yeah.
through a telescope and see the curve of the Earth yourself.
Again, what I said earlier, that God could manipulate my perception, was a way for me to address the hypothetical that Steve and you put
Well,
forward.
that's fine, but you haven't rationalized why God would make something such a way and then deceive you, and that your senses are not in accordance of what the ontological fact is.
Well, it would just be a way to show off his powers. That
By
he
lying?
can do so.
He's showing off your powers by
Manipulating your senses.
fucking with you.
That doesn't seem to make much sense. That doesn't seem to be a God that I would put much faith in. If God's going to sit there and manipulate my senses, where I can't even trust my own sense perception, then any presupposition I have wouldn't make sense to even have any presuppositions, because at that point everything I have is wrong or could be wrong. I have no foundation for anything.
God is showing his power to you by tweaking your senses into such a way that they are producing contradictory results.
Right.
I don't see that as a good thing.
Well, again, this is purely hypothetical. So that's probably the only answer that I could give you, is that if I was to see something bending over a curve, then it would be God manipulating my mental state.
All right, so any evidence that I put forward that shows the curvature of our planet, you're going to dismiss that as God manipulating either my senses or your senses, or my perception or your perception. It's not actually the case. That's just God messing with us. That's going to be the end result, no matter what I present to you.
You lose by default there, Reds.
Not necessarily, because my response was to address your hypothetical, but for the sake of this argument, your premises presuppose God, and because he is righteousness, he would create a flat earth to judge everybody equally.
I'm not seeing
the correlation. Could do that quite easily on a round Earth. Again, we're talking about an all-powerful God. An all-powerful God is not going to be limited by the curve of the Earth. If he is limited by the curve of the Earth, then he wouldn't be all-powerful, because there's literally something there forcing a limitation onto him.
Yeah, it seems like Reds and I are less restrictive for your God than you are. And we do have a super chat real quick. Tim Pryor for $10 says, "Sorry, everyone. I suggested to take a drink every time he said God. That was a bad idea." I could have told you that. Actually, you guys actually want you guys to live. Yeah, I like what's left of my liver, Tim. But thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it.
I'll add a new point to the mix, is that if you read Genesis 1:2 in the Bible, it states that, I'll paraphrase it quickly, is that the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. So Genesis 1:1, God created the heavens and the earth, and then he was hovering over it, which implies that the earth is flat.
Can he hover over a round Earth?
It could, but it states that the surface, it states in Genesis 1:2, the surface
wait. Okay,
of the face of the water.
This really raises some questions here. One, how big is your God? I mean, how much space did he take up over the water?
Well, I can't give you a specific answer to that.
Give me a guesstimate. What's your best guess? I mean, what's the size of God?
Well, God is, by default, he's infinite in size.
So how does he hover over? Anything if he's infinite in size? He's everywhere.
Yeah, but he created this universe in a different dimension, so he was still remaining in his
Then he's not hovering over anything. He's in his dimension. He's not in our plane of existence.
No, but at that time, at the creation point, he created the heavens and the earth. So the Earth was sitting there throughout the heavens, and then the Spirit of God, not in all of his glory, but he was hovering over it whilst remaining in his eternal realm. But to bring this back to circle is that it states in Genesis 1:2 that God was hovering over the face of the waters. So a face implies a flat surface.
Why couldn't the Earth be a cube?
Well, look, that's a interesting theory.
There you go,
but
Reds. Hey, look, you both lose. It's a cube. It's not round. It's not flat. It's cube Earth. Time cube was correct. And I think Stephen Lord Christ might have had something to say about that.
It's a pyramid. Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, do a dodecahedron.
Okay, I'm going to try and get at least another scientific question, or at least hope it branches to science. You see, quick question. Rockets that launch out of Cape Canaveral, Florida, where did they go?
I don't know. You tell me.
Orbit. Did you know
Okay.
you could see, did you know that you can see them yourself?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay, so you can see rocket launching, from Cape Canaveral. You can see the payload enter orbit around the Earth, and you can track this for yourself. What are we actually tracking?
Can you repeat that question?
Okay, so we observe a launch out of Cape Canaveral. On the rocket, there's a payload, a satellite. We can see this satellite in orbit after the launch occurs. We can follow it. We can figure out its orbit. We can track its altitude, its speed. We can figure all this stuff out. And all of this occurs after the rocket has launched, showing that a rocket launched, went to space, delivered its payload to orbit. But with that satellite in space, in your opinion, what are we actually seeing? Are we seeing an actual satellite in orbit, in your opinion? Or is that Freemason fakery brought on board by the lizard people?
Well, that's what I was going to... to address that. Well, yeah, it would just be some sort of fakery thing. It wouldn't be absolute.
So being the fact that you can see it for yourself, how are they faking it with your own telescope, your own eyes, your own equipment?
Well, assuming that you're using equipment, then I could just say that the equipment is dodgy.
It's mirrors and glass, dude. We're talking about telescopes.
Yeah, I could still say that the equipment that you're using is not absolute. It wouldn't give you a definite answer. That's the whole scientific method. They don't come to absolute conclusions.
Why wouldn't it give us a reliable result? If I can focus the telescope and the focus is working, the glass isn't broken, the tube isn't bent, what makes you believe that the telescope has to be defunct in some way? Why not just accept the fact that it is not actually defunct, considering it's working for everything else, including the peeping Tom across the street? So it's working for him, but the very moment we turn that telescope towards the heavens, all of a sudden we have issues. Why is that?
Well, again, because I would be presupposing a flat Earth, that would be God manipulating that current situation. However, for your sake, you would be possibly lying to yourself because you're biased.
All right, so next question. Was Galileo right?
About what?
Let's say Jupiter.
What about Jupiter?
That has moons and they go around Jupiter.
Again, that's not an absolute claim. The scientific method doesn't bring you to absolute claims. You got quantum
Scientific-
mechanics to think. You got
No
there's
one's
the
claiming that it
quantum
does.
realm's too deep.
But science has shown that there's a planet named Jupiter that has, I don't know how many dozens and dozens and dozens of moons they're up to now. I don't even remember. I've lost count. But quite a bit of moons Jupiter has. And they go around them. In fact, you can see 4 of them pretty clearly through binoculars: Io, Castillo, Europa, and Ganymede, right? So, I mean, you could literally plot them. Galileo plotted those 4 moons when he would go out there, and he would see that they would change position from night to night. You could do this yourself with binoculars. Have you ever looked at Jupiter through binoculars or a telescope?
This is the thing, okay? The thing about astronomy and science and stuff like that is that its goal is to build a model, and that model is to make predictions, as accurate of predictions as possible. Well, with our observation of Jupiter and its moons, we can actually predict when those moons are going to be in a certain position relative to Jupiter in its orbit. We can actually do this. We can predict this way into the future. So clearly, our understanding is good enough to make those predictions, which is all the accuracy I need for this question to actually be a thing. So he saw moons going around Jupiter. Didn't have to tell us exactly when it was going to happen, or he didn't even know how it was happening. He just knew that it was happening. So the question to you is this: if you were to look and see moons going around Jupiter just like Galileo did, would that mean that Galileo was right?
Well, no, because he could be lying.
But you're seeing it for yourself, thus confirming his observation.
Yeah, you literally could do this experiment yourself. If you understood the velocity of how of the moon's going around Jupiter, if you just looked in the physics of it, it's not that difficult, by the way. You could say, okay, here's my observation tonight. Knowing what I know about celestial mechanics and Kepler's laws and other things of planetary motions, I can say, okay, tomorrow night I would expect to see the moons to be more along the lines of these positions from Jupiter, relative to Jupiter. And if it matches your predictions, you go, holy crap, it's right. Galileo got this right. I mean, how would you explain that away?
That's a helicopter, so can you hear me?
Yep.
Where are you at? You've got trains, helicopters, airplanes.
Yeah, I'm in the.
What are you at? The Australian version of Area 51 military complex or something?
Yeah, I'm in the city, so that's why there's a lot of background noise.
Okay.
But to address your question, is that, again, if I was to observe what you presented, then I could just say that it is God that is altering my perception on things. But that doesn't disprove that that God created the earth flat.
And this is exactly why I wanted to answer all these questions, because you said that God could be screwing with my senses with the Tampa skyline. You said that God could be screwing with my senses when it comes to tracking satellites in orbit. And you said that God could be screwing with my senses when it comes to the moons of Jupiter. Basically, what we have found in this discussion is that your answer for everything is that God could be screwing with my senses, in which case it doesn't matter what I put forward to you. I could fly your ass to the International Space Station. I could bash your face against the solar panels, probably causing a significant amount of damage, and it wouldn't matter, because once you came back to Earth, you would just say, well, that was quite a trip, but God could have just been screwing with my senses the entire time. There's literally nothing I can present to you that's going to get you away from that.
Is that correct?
Well, from my understanding, probably yes. That's
the
only way. Right. That's the only answer that I have to address these hypotheticals.
Hang on, let me get the super chats out of the way, because one's gone by for quite some time, and I don't want to go too far because I'll lose it. Another one from Tim Pryor, $20. Thank you, Tim. Again, Tim says, I read chapter 3 in the Harry Potter book. It says people can fly on broomsticks. Blech. Oh my God, I'm having a hell of a time trying to talk today. It says people can fly on broomsticks. Damn. Well, if the book says it, I'm getting my broom out. Screw those gas prices. Yeah, dude. Dude, I'm telling you, if brooms could do that, I would ride one. I ain't got no issue with that. One more.
Well,
One more.
okay.
Cajun crustacean. Oh, hey, man, it's been a while. I've seen some, hey, by the way, I'm seeing some old names come back. I've seen Cajun crustacean. I said anomalous insect earlier. A Skeptic 77. He's been around for a while. Nice seeing you guys again. By the way, and a big shout out to Insect, because I was just thinking about him today. I was tagging some people on Twitter, and his name came up, and I was like, man, I haven't seen that dude in a while, man. So thank you for joining us, man. Cajun crustacean. $10 says Earth is a giant D20 and the dinosaurs simply rolled a natural 1 survival check versus the asteroid. Any indication otherwise is just a failed perception check. Hey, he might have a point, dude. I think Cajun makes a very valid point. He could actually literally make that argument that this is just a simulation. We're playing D&D. And they're, the asteroids coming in, dinosaurs roll that D20, get a natural 1, critical fail. And that if you say otherwise, you're just, God's just giving you some failed perception check.
But again, it goes right back to what I said. If you present evidence that shows that the Earth is round, it doesn't matter, because the solution to that, inconvenient fact that the Earth is round is God is messing with your mind in some way, in which case God seems like a bit of a jerk.
Again, those arguments that you put forward are purely hypothetical, because we presuppose a flat Earth, and some people suppress the truth.
You presuppose a flat Earth.
Yeah,
I have the ability to look through a telescope and understand that hump of water actually means something.
So do you think Jupiter is a planet?
Yes.
Okay, do you think it's round?
No, it would be a cylinder. A thin cylinder.
Wait,
what?
Huh? This is new.
How?
Jupiter cylindrical theory. Okay, JCT. Got it. How does this work?
Well, that's just based off my understanding on the shape of the Earth. So I would assume that God would remain consistent throughout all the other planets.
How is that consistent?
How is being a cylindrical being consistent?
Because the Earth is flat, so I'm assuming that God would apply the same design to the remaining planets.
Okay. So look, if you can see the thumbnail I have. That's a flat Earth, right? And it is just a thin section of a cylinder. If you think about it, that right there, if it was just elongated along the vertical axis, it would be cylindrical in nature, right? So that's just a very thin. It's like it's a disc, but a disc is a subsection, or a thinly sliced cylinder. You get right? I mean, would you agree with that geometrically speaking?
Yes.
Okay, so. The Earth is how thick is the Earth then? Is it cylindrical or is it flat? Because
I don't know the exact details. I'm not into science. Is not my primary.
That's so hard to believe,
field.
but I'm going to grant you that.
Yeah, but that's all I could give you is that thumbnail is a good basis.
So Jupiter's just a thicker cylinder.
Even though you can see the damn thing rotating. Okay, so
cylinders rotate, Reds. Come on.
Yeah, not in the way that
and
Jupiter
it's gaseous,
does.
By the way.
Yeah. So, but again,
piece of Pluto. Somebody says.
But you see. So, let me just make sure I ask this question to get clarification, because you already said yes to this, but I want to make sure that you didn't just misspeak. So. For clarity, it doesn't matter what I show you. Doesn't matter what observations I made. Doesn't matter what videos I present. It doesn't matter what I show you personally. If anything comports with the Earth being round, your rebuttal to those pieces of evidence and all the videos and the observations and whatever, your rebuttal to all of those would be, well, God's just messing with my mind.
Well, I could just say that, no, that wouldn't happen. So these observations that you're putting forward are not even factual to begin with.
We have videos that show that this stuff actually occurs, and here's the thing: I'm not the only one that posts videos like this. You know,
Again,
I'm not
is...
the only one that makes these observations. I'm just the best at it. So when you show, like, for example, Steve got this one confused before, but it's still a good point. You know, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, where you can see this bridge, which is curving with the curve of the Earth, and you can see the Tampa skyline being cut off by the horizon, and you can track satellites in orbit, which includes the International Space Station. You can see this for yourself with a scope with no electronics whatsoever. So no hacking is possible when you're using mirrors and glass. You know, you can do all of this stuff. So you have all of this stuff at your disposal. It's all yours. The universe will open itself up to you with these tools, but it doesn't matter because God could just be messing with your mind.
Or the thing is not even factual to begin with. So I put forward an argument that you can't defeat because I can easily dismiss your arguments. However,
well, if you ignore all the videos that I posted that show the observations themselves, then I guess so. But just because you ignore them doesn't mean you defeated them.
But my argument is stronger because we share the same God, an ultimate being who created the earth and looks down on it.
No, that's your assertion. But as
it's a brute fact.
Yeah, but as we already found out in this very stream, your particular God does not exist. So I don't share whatever this God is with you. That doesn't make any sense.
There can only be one God by definition.
Well,
and
that's
the
your
Bible,
assertion.
What definition is that?
God, by definition, is absolute, eternal, and a creator.
You do realize that even the God you're positing recognized there were other gods. He even said I have no other gods before me. He recognized there was many. In fact, original Christians were more henotheistic. They accepted there was multiple gods. Only the Christian God was the one above all, so to speak. But they believed other gods existed. They were called henotheists, correct?
I understand, yes, one of the 10 commandments, do not worship other gods. But
which means other gods exist, right?
False idolatries.
Well, hang on. Hang on. That means other gods exist, right?
No, people can make up.
No. No, this is God's rule. You literally have talked about how literal you are in the Bible. God has said, "Thou shalt not have any other gods before me." That assumes and presupposes gods exist. You can't get away from that.
Other gods.
No,
other gods.
Because people worship others as if they were gods.
No, that's not what he said.
Wait.
Idolatry. It's an idolatry.
Hang on. In order to say that those other gods exist, you have to presuppose the existence of those other gods. Remember? Yeah, that argument's coming back to bite you in the ass now, isn't it?
I thought I was going to have to kick the dust off your Reds. Holy crap.
So
again, God is to paraphrase my definition for God is that he is everywhere as a starting point. So
is everywhere the same as infinite?
So this line of reasoning only works with your God, but the very moment you bring other gods into it, all of a sudden that particular line of argumentation can be dismissed.
Yeah, it's like your argument only works for you, but when other people use your same argument, it fails, and it doesn't make much sense.
No, because I said that people could just make up false gods, and
but God says there's other gods. God said there are other gods, and he doesn't like you worshiping them.
And your God could be false.
Yeah, your one God's made up as well.
Yeah, so we have a couple people that want to ask.
How's everyone doing today?
We're doing so let's get I know you're limited on time there, UC. So I have one question for you after they're done, and then we have a couple questions. So AT2 had a question to ask.
Well, it's actually a combination question, and so UC, please hold your answer until both questions have been asked. The first one being, could you be wrong? The other one, would you actually be willing to test your presuppositions to make sure of their validity?
I cannot be wrong, and
So you're intellectually dishonest. That's what I
suspected. Because God is ultimate truth.
But if God is ultimate, hang on, Steve. Yeah, Steve, 1 second.
Don't yell at me.
If God is the ultimate truth, God cannot exist in a world that has brute facts. Just 2 minutes ago, you referenced something that was not God as a brute fact.
No, I
you
said
fucking
God
failed.
No, excuse me. I said that God is a brute fact. Only he is a brute fact.
All right, good answer. Good answer. Hey, unlimited. What is it, Christian? Hey, how do you know Jesus existed?
Because Genesis 1:1 references
Okay,
Jesus.
so you read it in a book, and then you've seen his picture. Is that his? Do you think what we see, 90%, whether he's white or black, that's what Jesus was? That's what he looked like.
Well, no one knows what the Bible doesn't describe what he looks like
Okay,
from
okay.
head to toe.
Hey, Reds. How do you know the Earth is a globe? Because you read it in a book and seen images.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I actually went out and did a few observations that allowed me to come to that conclusion.
That's how the scientific method works, by observations.
For example,
Literally.
the Tampa skyline that I did, the fact that an equatorial telescope mount works is another big one. Just name a few.
So I got a question for you. See, let me know when you're running out of time. I know you got about a half hour.
I've got 7 minutes, so I'll just set a timer on my phone.
All right, so people have asked this, and I have no idea what they're referring to. So could you tell me what is? And it's going to sound disparaging, but they're literally asking this, so there's got to be some reason why. But they have asked me, what is your sexual relationship with God?
That's inappropriate.
No. Is it you said you've had some kind of sexual relationship with God, correct?
I'm hoping he's going to say asexual.
Yes, God and I have a sexual relationship.
Asexual, like non.
No.
Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead and answer the joke.
You're saying so you and God have some type of sexual relationships.
Yes.
And how does that work?
Firstly, I haven't experienced his full power. We just go through the motions of it.
Oh, he's serious.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Is it Jesus? Do you have sex with Jesus, or just like the Holy Ghost?
Steve, I'm gonna call Poe.
Well,
I'm
here's
sorry.
the thing. No, here's the thing. Okay, wait, no, hang on. Before you call
No, Steve, you're wrong on this. I'm gonna call Poe.
Here's the thing.
What is Poe? What does Poe mean?
Poe's Law. Poe's Law was a guy named Nathan Poe was back in the Usenets back in the day, and he came up with a kind of a law from observations that there are certain people that you cannot tell the difference between those who are true believers in something and those who are just lying, trolling, right? So if it's so convincing, somebody's just trolling and they're so convincing, it's indistinguishable between that and an avid, fervent believer of this nature.
Well, have you listened to Christian music? A lot of it is sexual.
Well,
like, I've
listened to a lot of Poes. Yeah, no, I get it. I've listened to a lot of Poes. I've listened to a lot of flat earthers. Hang on.
I don't know.
He has on his channel literally hundreds of videos. They're 8 hours long.
Who's he?
He's a man dedicated to his work. Okay,
nobody's that
Dave
dedicated as a
Chappelle
Poe.
made a fucking career out of it.
Jeranism is not that dedicated as a Poe as this guy because he's not making any. He's not. I don't think even.
Hey, Jeranism's not here to defend himself.
I'll be devil's advocate for him.
Listen. You can make being a jokester and being a Poe a fucking career, and many people are.
Well,
very
who asked the
successful in
question?
that.
Like, how do you masturbate? Like, I don't know. My question, like, is it to Jesus or?
What you see?
His abs.
I'm saying
like,
this.
Gay people love abs, and if you're into that,
hang on,
I'm just saying, the guy is very dedicated to his work, even though that work is being a Poe.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a Poe.
Go ahead, you see.
Yeah, so if you're bearing false witness, you are lying, which is one of the, which is
You've
a sin.
already done that.
I'm not bearing false
par for the
witness.
course.
I'm literally on the internet right now, listening to a guy who says that the Earth is flat because of reasons, despite whatever evidence you shove in my face, and the fact that I literally 69 with the God Almighty himself. I'm sorry. No, you're a fucking Poe.
Yeah, I'm confused.
It's funny though. I have to say, you're really good at this Poe shit.
I'm confused about the emotions versus like the actual sexual relationships that you have. Now, I do understand the difference, but I don't know how you're using these terms because just because you have an emotional relationship with somebody doesn't mean that you're having sex with them. You've actually said you're somehow having sex with God, right?
will 3 minutes be enough for him to finish?
For an eternal being? I don't know. I mean, God could go. God could last.
I'm talking about his flight, people. I'm talking about his flight.
God could outlast all of us. That's all we know. Okay, but you see, I'm a little confused here. And by the way, like I said, I don't think your channel's monetized, is it? Right?
No, it's still quite early.
Yeah.
Still quite new.
So I don't know what benefit you would be getting out of doing 8-hour streams to Poe when you're talking about this kind of stuff. And we have a couple super chats real quick. Tim Pryor, $5 says, he says he cannot be wrong because of God. So did God make him a God? Never mind. I'm taking another drink. Yeah, Tim, you need some more alcohol because no, your question's good though, because here's the thing. If God is perfect, UC would probably acknowledge that he's not perfect. So anything that he
is this Bible waterproof? Sorry.
So God's not. I mean, even if God's perfect, UC is not. Therefore, anything that he has in his faculties, any sense perception that he has, anything he thinks he's getting from God is fallible. He could not have infallibility when it comes to information given by God because he's a fallible being. It's like the weakest link. When you have a data, AT2 knows a lot about this stuff. When you have a some kind of informational system and you have something that has a lot of noise in some part of the system, that's going to be the weakest part because all that noise is going to be amplified up and you get it's going to screw everything up because you're not a perfect being. So you no matter what UC says, he's going to have some mistakes in what God wants. There's no possible way he could not. That's why
he's still here, right? Hey, Unlimited.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate your spirit. Like you have like a lot of school spirit, but it's like church spirit. So in high school, I never had like spirit or like a sports team. And
he's peppy. You're saying he's peppy.
Reds, did you have school spirit? Did you graduate high school?
Reds for school, please.
No, I didn't graduate high school at all. No.
Well, did you have school spirit? Did you like cheer for your football team?
I didn't go to school at all.
He was quarantined his entire life because of his face.
Yeah, I was born.
Sounds like you memorized a lot of textbooks. But yeah, how about
I was raised by wolves.
Do you watch sports ball, like football or baseball, and like really get into it?
I mean, I saw hockey.
Okay. Like imagine when you see the SpaceX rockets fly. You know how excited you get. Some people get that excited when they see a field goal kick.
He's peppy on this. But you see, I want you to address that real quick after I read this next super chat. Tom Pryor, $5 more. Thank you, Tim. I mean, Tim Pryor. Thank you, Tim, by the way. Tim's been giving some super chats. Thank you, Tim. Seriously, we need Reds rhetoric and Jeranism to return. Oh, I would be up to Reds. I don't know about that. I think Jeranism would probably be too scared to do it. I don't think Reds are.
Sorry, I've got 60 seconds, so I can answer one more question and then I have to go.
Okay. The question is this. I'll ask the last question. Okay. So you said that you have sex with God, and we asked you how that works. Didn't really get an answer. So I'm just going to ask again. How does that work?
And do you have video?
And please make it funny.
Is it on Pornhub?
Well, there's no limits to however you depict sex. That's how it is with God. So I don't know his favorite position and all of that.
Wait, you're giving it to him?
No, it goes both ways. Okay. God is non-binary.
So you're not literally masturbating to God with a four-sided dildo.
No, I think he literally is masturbating to God.
I'm going to try to keep this G-rated. So I've got to go. So
okay,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
God bless.
You,
Bye.
I got your channel in the video description if people want to go check you out.
Holy shit, dude.
Well, I think sex now is PG.
Reds, you got your ass handed to you, brother.
Steve,
tell me about it. Yeah,
you're done.
Yeah,
you're done. You had a good run, man.
Steve, I'm telling you, that dude's a Poe.
That was faith. Okay. That was like spiritual faith versus pseudoscience faith.
Here's the thing, though. If he's a Poe, and again, I'm completely wrong. Okay, but here's the thing: he is dedicated like I've never seen.
A Poe is just a troll, right? From the context clues.
Yeah,
basically, yes.
But it seems to actually, because we didn't even talk about flat Earth on my channel. He was straight up Darth Dawkins presuppositionalist, right?
And that's I would go to him not being 100% because there has to be some inkling of actual genuine belief
Thank you.
to pull off the sorry, I'm not going to call him by his actual screen name that he goes by, but Dearth Dipshit. His shtick
Hey, he's
is
not here to
so
defend
easy.
himself.
I've said it to his face, and then he kicked me from the call. So, par for the course.
I think Dearth has a great app, and everyone should get it. It's the Zodiac Flat Earth Clock Sun Moon Jupiter app.
Oh, that's a special.
It might be
one.
copyrighted.
I'm just saying, listen,
it might be copyrighted.
It could have started off being remotely legit, fine, whatever, but no way that this dude is legit now.
Look,
on this show, he was not legit. He was Poe all the way through. 100% Poe.
I get Poe vibes too. Don't worry. If I didn't talk to him before and didn't check him out, I would totally be Poe, right?
You're getting Poe vibes. Oh, I'm getting more than
huge Poe vibes. Oh,
here.
absolutely. But the same token, he really did know about presuppositional argumentation as far as like the script.
That's easy, though. That's easy though.
Most presuppers don't Poe. Most
presuppers, you just have to be an intellectually dishonest piece of shit, and there you go.
But I get that. But like relatively said, people don't know who's in here, but we have a couple people in the hangout call here. One of them is relatively upside down, right? But he said, but there's some. or was it Jared that said it, that these are some undertones. Like he might be a Christian that's poeing, but there's some fact the matter there that I think he believes something.
I believe that there is genuine belief on his part for the religious side of it. Everything else, though, I have serious doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna say that
you might be right.
That what really sealed the deal, and there should be the same story for you, Steve, is when the guys talk about doing reverse cowgirl with God Almighty.
And that was like, okay, I
thought you guys were joking, so I didn't mean to interrupt when you guys brought up sex with God.
No, I don't joke. I have no sense of fucking humor, dude. No, I was being serious. Like that's what I said. People were trying to ask, and I was like, okay, so I wanted to ask that question. But that whole thing, that part after that, I do want to say Poe, obviously, because it's just I couldn't conceptualize somebody who's not a Poe.
Why not just say troll?
Because the fact that we're actually discussing whether he's a Poe or not a Poe is what Poe is, right? It's not just a troll. A troll is somebody who just trolls. A Poe is somebody who's skilled enough where you cannot determine whether they're somebody with just radical beliefs or...
A Poe is a troll that tries to hide the fact that they're a troll.
Well, Alex Stein going to these council meetings is a Poe?
So here's a better way to differentiate between a Poe and just a troll. Just a troll does not have the staying power, and you can get them to either break character or admit they're just playing with you within a reasonable amount of time. A Poe leaves you questioning.
Yeah. I mean,
so they get a whole persona character, and they just go with it the whole time.
One more super
instead of just trying to troll and just start aggravating.
That's what is going on here, because here's the thing. Yes, the guy is very dedicated. I'll give him that. But you can have a very, very dedicated jokester.
No, I get that. But 8-hour streams of like 100 videos, that's a lot of hours dedicated to that.
So like I'm a troll and Unlimited Christian is a Poe.
Sure.
Because I joke around a lot.
Tim Pryor, $5 says, "That's it. I'm taking myself out back and putting me out of my misery." Don't be doing that. It's not worth it. Drink more. You'll be great in the morning. Just drink more.
Just go.
Solves all
put your lips to the bottle. It helps dull the pain you got from the stupid. And also, I wanna circle back to the super chat about the Jeranism debate. Yeah, Jeranism's never going to do that again.
Never going to do that
ever.
Again.
That will never happen again. And after he got his ass handed to him. He learned his lesson. He's like, I'm never doing that.
That's an opinion.
It's an informed opinion.
I actually tweeted about this. Other flat earthers are saying that he was hired to get owned as hard as he did. That's how badly he got his shit.
That's just how dumb people are these days. Like everyone's like, oh, this guy's a Fed. This guy's controlled opposition, PSYOP, MK.
No, I think you're missing the point. His own people think he's so bad that the only rational explanation that they even have. By the way, when I say rational, based upon their understanding of rational, that
you're being charitable.
Yeah, being charitable. It was so bad that the only way they can wrap their head around it is that he was being paid by NASA and globatards to look stupid.
Which is crazy
flat Earth
because
stupid.
to all
No,
of the,
he's just questioning your pseudoscience, like
Wait,
the speed of light. That's
but
just
here,
he's just
here's the thing.
questioning.
Even after these other flat earthers rip them a new one, I go to those same flat earthers and I say, "Oh, you can do a better job. Join me on the Non-Sequitur Show. Let's do this thing." And no one shows up.
I got a question, Rich. How did Jeranism survive the whole fiasco with the 15-degree drift gyroscope thing? I don't understand how flat earthers can spend $20,000 to show the Earth is actually round.
They're saying the atmosphere is moving and not the Earth.
They said they
it's
said
ether.
no. First, here's what they did. They tried to get around the gyroscope, showing that the Earth rotated by. They put it, I believe, in a crystalline box so they could block the instrument from the heavenly energies, whatever the fuck that means. And that's
It's like a Faraday cage. They try to put it in like a Faraday cage.
Yeah, block it from the heavenly energies again, whatever the fuck that means. And that failed.
Yeah, I don't think Faraday cages are going to do any good against supernatural heavenly energies.
Well, you mocking Christian beliefs is like the same thing as me mocking y'all's outer space. Like they're both unprovable.
Well, you're not a flat earther.
Sure about that?
I'm a flat earther.
Oh, you're a flat earther?
Yeah, totally.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, the globe's
skeptic.
Seems like a lie. I'll stick with flat earther, like a flat water leveler. I don't know. I think water's level.
Okay, so
a non-curver.
Good job playing the part.
Yeah,
I'm a non-curver.
See, you don't count as a poke because we already know that you're not these things.
I talked to Red a couple weeks ago as Penny Gwen, I think. On here, and you guys wanted me to play Kerbal Space Program.
Oh, wait, we do remember you.
Yeah, I changed my name a lot, but
what was the name you went by? I forget. It wasn't that long ago.
It doesn't matter. I'm relatively upside down right now.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like that video game because I looked into it.
Right?
Yeah, I was looking into playing it, but it looks cheesy graphics, and it's just it doesn't prove anything.
Well, no, it's not.
They don't even have the telemetry data to go back to the moon right now.
No, you're confused. It was Kerbal. We recommended Kerbals to you, not so it proved anything. It's just so you understood the basic physics involved in order to get something to another planet, because it's complicated. You got to know about delta V, you got to know about thrust, you got to know how to do staging, you got to know how much fuel to have. All these things go into successfully landing. Look, I've only been able to land on the moon. And I was able to do it pretty regularly when I was playing Kerbals. That is an achievement in itself. If you've ever played Kerbal, it's a hard game. Except for Jared. I know he's like...
Okay, I have a serious question. Okay, does dark matter? Okay, say if I was like on an airplane and I did like an airplane atmosphere walk. I don't know, like how they do spacewalks. But if I did it in the atmosphere and I tried to open up an airplane while I was going 500 miles an hour, like would I be able to attach myself with an umbilical cord to the airplane?
You do realize that the atmosphere travels with the same
speed
as
but
right?
is dark?
Hang on.
How does dark matter not have the same type of force, but like that's drastically reduced? So like, how can these people?
What does dark matter have to do with anything?
Dark matter and dark energy have the term dark applied to it because
they're imaginary.
No,
it's like your heavenly body.
No, it's a placeholder. There is something there that requires
like gravity.
There is something there that has that quantitative value to make everything else that we are observing work. We just can't pin it down to what type of fundamental particle it is that's actually doing that effect, which is why it gets that dark, because it's not directly observable.
So there's no resistance.
They can observe the effect. They can't observe the object.
Yeah, I mean,
itself.
they predict.
Hang on. Question. You said that you were on the show previously. What tool were you using to log into the call the last time?
I had to call in because you guys did like a weird Google Drive thing. You didn't do this thing.
He used a Google
Hangout. You did like Google membership.
I'm not sure you're the same. You're the same guy.
I think he is.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I was pretty drunk.
I think
I was drunk last time when I called.
You actually gave a recommend. Okay, you gave a recommendation for a game too. What was the name of that game?
Yeah, Factorio.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, same guy. Tim Pryor, another 20. Tim's drinking, and super chats. Boy, this is a good episode. Yeah, thank you. By the way, Tim, just FYI, that the super chats tonight, much of this is going to go to alcohol after this. I'm not even fronting with you. I'm telling you right now, I am getting some alcohol in this house because I've got a little bit of brandy that I've had for like 2 years now. I don't know, like a year. I've had a long time. We need to get some more alcohol in this house. So.
Yeah, I'm only 2 Jack and Cokes in.
Yeah,
last time I called, I was like 7.
Here, I'll just do it this way. Here, watch this. No, you want some alcohol in the house?
Grey Goose.
Oh, don't go all crazy on this ass. She got Grey Goose. She got Grey Goose.
Is that a parrot?
No, Grey Goose is the vodka. Tim Pryor. Okay, says, all right, I took another drink, and here's another 20, just because Reds and this channel is back. Love it. Thank you, Tim. That's very kind of you.
I was on hiatus, but it was never gone.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Gone.
Anyway,
but on hiatus.
Let me give you something there. Guy who was, I don't know, the guy who was on the phone call last time.
Yeah.
Relatively upside down.
Cool. Anyway, you close your eyes. Just imagine for a second that you close your eyes, but every time you do randomly, you see flashes of light when you close your eyes.
Am I epileptic or no?
No, you just close your eyes. It just happens sometimes. So the question that I have for you is, what's causing that?
I don't get the question. Like when we naturally close our eyes,
these phosphorus luminescence things.
No, hang on.
Don't yell at me.
I think you're missing some of it. I don't get it.
This is an actual. I'm going to put forth an experience that you could have. So just imagine that you're having this experience. So let's say that we're roommates and we're busy watching House, and you're walking through the living room to go get your leftover pizza from last night's insane Ravish party. It was great. So much orgies. Oh, it was great. Anyway,
party?
So you're walking to the fridge, but for some reason you just decide to close your eyes on the way there. But when you do, you see a flash of light and you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? So you tell me, hey, every time I close my eyes, I'm seeing a flash of light. And then I ask you, hey, what's causing that? What would your answer be?
A light, illumination from some source.
When you're closing your eyes and you see nothing.
You're saying I see a flash of light when I close my eyes.
You close your eyes and you're seeing a flash of light, just a brief flash, a boop. Okay, so a brief flash of light when you're closing your eyes, and then I ask you, what's causing that? What would your answer be?
A light source that came on.
A light source from under your eyelids?
That penetrates through my eyelids.
Okay, well, where would be the light source? Let's say there's no.
I don't know. If we're in your apartment.
Let's say there's no lights on in the room whatsoever. Let's say the entire block has a power outage and it's the middle of the fucking night. You ain't seeing shit. So you close your eyes, but yet you still see that flash of light. And you say, wow, I just saw that flash of light again. I'm like, oh, wow, what's causing that? What would your answer be?
I'm just kidding.
You're just kidding. But no, you actually see the flash of light. Would you say,
I don't
know what's causing it?
I don't get what you're. I don't know.
All right, so
I would say
yeah. You would say I don't know. So if I ask you, hey, that flash of light that happened, what's causing that? You would say, the fuck if I know, right?
What the fuck was? Yeah, sure. It had to come from somewhere.
You would say, the fuck I don't know.
It had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, it had to come from somewhere, but I don't fucking know what's causing it. That's dark matter and dark energy. We know that something is happening, but we don't know what's causing it.
But it's still measurable.
Something happening, but
it's still measurable.
Causing it.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's still measurable.
Dark matter and that is
there's
dark
a couple
energy.
things here. I thought you were going with Big Bang stuff, because if you look, okay, so relatively, if you look at a TV screen, remember the old TV screens, probably before your time, but you would be able to tune like the channel 2, and if there's no signal, you have the static, like you've seen Poltergeist. 1% of that static comes from the remnant of the Big Bang. Okay, so some of that light that has been traveling for billions of years is hitting that TV, the phosphorescent coating, and being visualized as a flash of light, right?
Your Big Bang Theory is just the same as
hang
Adam
on.
and Eve's.
Hang on. So first of all, can you tell us, like, let's say assume we know nothing about any of this stuff. Can you tell us the difference between dark matter and dark energy?
No, because they're both made up.
Well, that does not answer.
No,
though.
they're not.
Well, let's assume they're made up. Let's assume they're completely fictitious. What's the difference?
I guess from your context clues, one might be a particle and the other one might be like a wave.
That's a non-answer. You cannot rationally say something's made up if you don't know what the hell it is, right? I mean, does that make sense?
No, well, y'all don't even know what it is.
Oh, I do. No, I do.
Yeah, dark matter's dark matter.
Yeah, yeah, dark matter's dark matter. Do you know what cold matter is or lambda CDM theory is, or do you know what
gold matter?
No, cold dark matter, non-luminescent matter. Do you non-luminescent?
Like temperature?
It's cold because it's not radiating any photonic energy. The reason why it's called dark matter is because it doesn't emits photons. We see something because photons are emitted, and we see those photons. We see the light. If there's no light being emitted, what happens when there's no light? What is that called? Dark. That's what dark matter is. It's matter that cannot be seen because it does not emit any kind of photonic energy.
I thought it was dark was like the absence of light.
Well, you thought wrong. Because you don't understand the very, 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 very basics of the topic. Tim Pryor, I already read that one. Josiah Hansen, buddy, for $5 says, doing this on a night during which I am this far away from my stash. I'm going to have to go get Greta and give you the how dare you that you deserve. Do it, Josiah. Just do it.
How dare you?
Got another one. Pope. How do you pronounce that? Pope? $5 says, have a drink on me, preferably one that could be used for rocket fuel. Oh, he's going for the high octane stuff. I can't drink the high octane stuff.
The stuff that'll definitely, kill you a little bit sooner. And yes, you guys,
I don't drink that stuff.
Would be right.
I can't.
But I'm going to say that even though you wouldn't be able to watch House with the power being out, you would have been able to watch House before it happened. So I guess when you're looking at the series of events, my analogy still makes sense. But if we want to ignore that, then yes, you got me. But at the end of the day, still made my point.
You're failing left and right today, Reds. Tim Pryor, $5 more. Reds.
I regret nothing.
You should. Reds, in his defense, you guys would no longer be able to watch House because you had I'm sorry, you already read that one.
Yeah, that's what I was responding
to. I thought you were just a rare comment.
And all this came from the fact that, I guess it all started with the fact that, yeah, you said that, dark matter, dark energy, why are we calling it that? Well, that's technically what it is. We see stuff happening. We don't know what's causing it. So we're saying it's dark, as in there's a dark spot in our understanding. Well, fine, whatever. We're still trying to figure it out, but at least we're honest about it.
And so what causes gravity to you, relatively? Why do we have gravity?
I'm going to guess atmospheric pressures pushing down on us. The weight of the atmosphere.
That's gravity.
But yeah.
The weight of the atmosphere.
Yeah,
pushing
I'm not buying any of
okay,
this.
hang on.
I'm not buying he's telling the truth.
Weight is literally the result of gravity.
Right. You cannot have weight without a gravitational field. Weight is literally a sum of acceleration and a gravitational field.
The mass and gravitational acceleration.
Yes.
So does the International Space Station have gravity?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why does their hair? Why do their hair stay straight up?
And I actually did the math on this. They experience about 84% the amount of gravity that we experience down here on Earth.
Yeah, they actually have
so their hair would gradually fall. Like these females' astronauts' hair would gradually fall.
If you're in a state of free fall, then it wouldn't.
Yeah, they're weightless.
In a parabolic arc, little planes or whatever they're called.
You do realize that something that is weightless still has gravitational effects. I mean, they're weightless because they're falling at the same rate as the curvature of the Earth. Plus, the ISS weighs something itself because its mass. It has its own gravity. It's minuscule compared to the Earth, but the ISS still has mass, which means it has gravitational effects.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, remember that
the glass of water.
The
glass of water.
If you throw it sideways and
the cannonball, and it goes beyond the horizon,
Yeah, if the ball is always curving towards Earth during its flight, but the Earth's always curving away just as fast, it's going to go around. But the individuals that would be inside the ball in this
that's a
example
fun mental
would be
exercise,
floating,
but it can't be proven. It's a fun
except
mental
we
exercise.
do with the International Space Station.
Well, that's fake in my book.
Hang on.
Good.
You've said
recorded
that,
it, dude.
You've said that multiple times now that this can't be proven. How do you come to that determination and justify the claim?
To elaborate on what this I was talking about.
You have said to at least two things now, orbits being one specific, space being another specific, saying this cannot be proven. How did you come to the determination that it cannot be proven?
And for just to add to that, Jared, let's stick to one at a time. Can you rephrase that question, but just focus it?
How can space not be proven? Well, if someone lies to me and I can feel that they're lying, and then they keep bringing up more stuff, like once you already lie, it's hard for me to believe other things that you say that might be true.
I literally have a video showing the observation
of space,
of the International Space Station in space. Yes,
and transiting across the moon, like the
predicted.
Okay, can you see aircrafts, commercial 747s, transiting the moon?
Yes, you can.
At 40,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Are they about the same size as the International Space Station?
No.
Are they way smaller?
No, they're way bigger.
No, they're way bigger. They're closer.
Well, I've seen some that are huge. Then it looks like they're just taking off.
Yeah,
but
I know the point that you're trying to make, but here's the difference between the two. We actually did a parallax measurement on the International Space Station when it transited the moon, and it would show the actual distance.
Yeah, I looked it up after you guys talked about it, and I saw the graph.
Regardless of the actual size of the station itself.
So how does Reds make those kind of predictive things? And by the way, they literally did this. Two-party. He went out with Astronomy Live, and one went to one location and one went to another location. I'm sure there was some heavy-duty research that went in to go, okay, I have to be at this GPS location exact, because, I mean, they weren't that far from each other. We're talking like less than a couple miles, wasn't it? It was not that far, what you think?
Actually, it was less than a kilometer.
All right, for me, like, once they lied about the moon landing and everything else, it's hard for me to believe.
Hang on, Reds. Well, no shit. Hey, Reds, how what was the distance again?
It was 750 meters.
That's nothing. How did you get so much parallax at just such a small amount? The difference between your ISS transit and his, I mean, there's significant deviation there. It blows my mind that you're able to get to that location with such precision. I mean, how did you do that?
Well, the reason is because we didn't do any math to figure out where we needed to stand and when. There's literally a website called Transit Finder that does the hard work for you.
It tells you exactly where to be on GPS.
Yes, it'll tell you exactly where to stand and what time to do it. And they say, oh, you're going to point at the moon at this spot at this time, or you're going to point your camera at the sun with a solar filter at this location at this time. It literally does the hard work for you. And so you go there, and we said, okay, here's where the transit is going to occur. You're going to be on this side of the line. I'm going to be on this side of the line, and we're going to capture a parallax measurement. And what do you know? It worked.
Yeah, no, it's very successfully too. April Van Ryan's, my mod says for 5 Canadian. She says, "Can you do me a favor and actually read something about the topic you're so vehemently against?" I love that comment. That straight up. It's like people keep saying, "Oh, this is wrong," but they never even understand what the topic's about. They have a fundamental misunderstanding of the topic, so they don't have a rational conclusion. Tim Pryor, that $5 says,
here's the thing about that.
Let me get this over. Tim says, I'm drinking and throwing money away to show that it's going to do the strip club.
Excellent.
Thank you, Tim.
But here's the thing.
Throw away. I can use it for alcohol, definitely.
Whenever someone says that I lied about my observation, I immediately say, I have a video on it that shows the observation itself. It shows the footage. It shows the math being done. It shows the measurements being done. And I also explain it in such a way that you can do it yourself. You don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah, see, that exact feeling that you have is like when people go out with the P900 and see cruise ships and boats up the coastline. Like there should be a curve.
He's a P1000 kind of guy. What do you
Yeah,
think
it
he
was
is?
it was a P1000 to
Come
be
on.
clear. I went slightly bigger, but the general result, or the general concept, I should say, is the same. You could use two P900s and that would work just fine. Go to transitfinder.com. Type in the city of your area and click search. It will search for a month worth of transit opportunities. And all you have to do is click on one of them that works for you. Yeah, I have off on this day. Yeah, the weather ain't shit on this day. Go there, stand in the spot it tells you to,
Hey, Reds,
record the moon when it says to tell you to, and you will see a transit. It's that fucking easy.
Reds,
Yeah, well, you see a light, or you only see like the
no, you can see the
silhouette.
object. You can see the actual object. But let me ask you this:
You can see the silhouette. You can see that it's illuminated. It actually will show you both. But we wanted to do this observation when the International Space Station was not lit. We wanted the silhouette of the station because that looks better against the bright moon. So what we did was we waited for such an opportunity. An opportunity came, which was November of 2020. We went out, we said, okay, here's where the transit's going to be. You're going to be on this side of the line. I'm going to be on this side of the line. We're going to record at the exact same fucking time, and we're going to capture this transit. And we did. And when you compare the transit paths and you do the math I did in that video, which anyone can watch, you see that the International Space Station is over 400 kilometers in altitude. That altitude is impossible for a plane to reach.
Yeah, the math was like spot on. The math has been verified.
Yeah,
by
we were.
I think you even asked me to even look to make sure it was the
math
correct.
is reality.
It's descriptive of reality. Yes.
But here's the thing, Steve. Here's the thing, Steve.
He said it.
We actually did something different. We decided to compare our results. Astronomy Life was going to do his own analysis of the data. I was going to do my own, and we would only compare the answers after we got them individually. They were within 1 kilometer of each other.
Yeah, I saw that, like 1%, and then y'all were close to the actual size.
Yeah,
but
and relatively, there's other sites too where you can go and you can get not just transients, but you can go find satellites when they're coming around, or iridium flares. If you know what those are.
Transit Finder will do the International Space Station, the Chinese Space Station, the Tiangong 3, or wherever the fuck
there's one coming down. Like in the next month or so, there's another Chinese space station coming down.
Yeah, I mean, so like I'm clicking on the Transit Finder. So, dude, I totally understand if you don't want to give me this information, but I'm going to ask anyway. What major city are you close to?
Dallas.
Dallas. Okay, so what I'm going to do on Transit Finder, I'm doing this right now, is I'm going to go to Texas, and we're going to go to Dallas. We're going to see if there's any transits coming up.
Can you share the screen, or is that just?
You know what? Yeah, if you want, can you share? Can you do that?
Can I share the screen?
I think people would like to see the Transit Finder website.
I can stop sharing. And then I can put.
Am I allowed to share?
Yeah. I'm not even showing the internal, but I could. If you give me a second, I can set that up while you're doing it. Do you guys on the outside want to see what he's doing in real time?
Yeah, please. Let's do this shit.
All right, give me a second here.
Let's give him the pretty pictures.
All right.
Pretty pictures are awesome, dude.
You guys love pictures.
Hell
yeah. We get some ourselves.
Well, okay. I guess images. You guys more love images.
Okay, so I can
CGI baby for the win.
You don't think those James Webb images are photoshopped?
Oh, complete CGI Photoshop. 100%.
Why won't they release the infrared photos?
Those are infrared. That's all.
Anyway, can you guys see the screen?
Wait, no.
Not yet, Red.
James Webb is all infrared.
Yeah, but they render it into color.
Oh,
and it looks
Can you see the screen?
No, we can't see it.
Not yet.
All right, Steve, make the doohickey do its thing.
There you go. Now you have to show the
grant the P.
Okay, sweet. Okay, here's the internals. Awesome. All right, so here's transitfinder.com. So let's go ahead and select from map. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to zoom into Dallas here. Let's click on there, save and close. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to 731 to 98, and we're going to calculate within a 200-kilometer radius. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So let's calculate. Oh, look, we got one here, we got one here. You know what? Let's say fuck it. Let's show all these motherfuckers on the map. Holy shit, you have a lot of opportunities to not be a dumb fuck.
So that's like daytime, the blues
Holy
daytime
crap.
or
No
nighttime.
way.
Yeah, so for
Well,
example,
scroll out. Can you
so
scroll
for
out to see
example,
the whole
I'm
U.S.
going
map?
for example, I'm going to pick one. Let's say you were in
Holy
Pleasant
crap.
Valley.
I didn't
where
even
the fuck
expect
is.
that. I had no
So
idea.
let's click here, and they say, oh, look, it's a daytime transit. So that's what this white arrow means. It's a daytime transit. So if you stand here on Friday, 8/19 at 8:03, you will see the transit occur. Let's see another one. Let's go to
How far can you scroll out?
this one. Oh, this one is a new moon, and that's a lit transit. Let's see. Let's
The
go to
new
one of these
moon?
solar ones.
You could track the new moon.
I meant the no transit the moon. If I said track, I misspoke. I apologize.
Well, no,
the
the
if
new
you
moon.
look here on Friday, it's going to transit the sun on 8/19 at 16:12. And you actually see that the angular separation, the transit duration, which will be 0.57 seconds. But look at this. Now, you see where this arrow is on the sun? Notice how it's towards the top of the sun?
Mm-hmm.
If I click
well,
over
it's
here,
relatively the bottom for me.
oh, look, now it's towards the bottom. Click over here. Now it's towards the top. Click over here. Now it's towards the bottom. Click over here. Now that's towards the top.
Those are for
this
solar.
is how we did it.
That's for solar.
Well, click on that red line. Is that red line? Is that for the map or is that?
That's for the map.
No,
That's the
this
center.
red line is right in the middle.
Yeah.
This means that if you stand right on this line, it will transit perfectly
Holy
right down the middle.
cow. That is amazing.
Yeah,
look,
and
do 926 zip code 92236.
yeah. So like, let me.
Do
let
me,
see
He
if
do
I
wants
can-
to go outside.
do me, Reds.
Yeah, he wants to go outside.
Do
and
me,
see it.
Reds.
Oh God!
Phrasing.
Steve, please stop. so
Oh, y'all
yeah,
be-
you got
y'all be
all of
jealous.
these
That's what it is.
opportunities.
Y'all
I
be
mean,
jealous,
look at all
man.
this shit. Oh, here's a good
Kano
one.
got
See-
excited
see
there
how
for a
the
second.
arrow. See how the arrow here is dark? So that means this is going to be a non-illuminated transit, which means the only way you're going to see is when it directly passes in front of the moon. But this is going to be at on 8/5 at just after midnight, so 12:19 a.m. And you'll be able to see this transit duration, which is 3.31 seconds.
Can you filter just moon, not sun?
Yeah, you can. You
Okay.
can go back to settings and look at lunar. See,
Yeah,
look,
lunar
ISS
stuff.
Hubble, ISS Hubble, Tiangong. That's the Chinese space station.
Do ISS lunar if you it can.
Let's go here. Let's go to return setting.
Hey, how did that Tiangong? How did they get the water in the cup before it like reached surface tension?
No, it's always on surface tension, dude.
Yeah,
Anyways,
but how did they put the water in the cup?
They used a bag to squirt it in. Anyway,
Put 92236.
isn't that Indio or something?
It's Coachella Valley because that if I was going to go to a place where there's like no lights, this would be the zip code I go to.
Do you have any astronaut friends on the ISS? Like, can you ask them to get a mason jar with like half filled with water?
I
play
fucking
with it?
wish. If you
then play
have
with it?
connections, hook me the fuck up. Anyway, I'm going to assume
You don't know,
hang
not a
on,
Professor Dave?
hang on. I want to say this. Let him do his thing.
He's getting to my hometown.
I'm getting done by Reds here, sus.
look at all these opportunities.
Only lunar though.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a lunar because I have.
Dude, just look at the blue lines.
So there's 24 solar transits, 24 lunar. I don't know if I can.
It's supposed to
Alright, that's
rotate
fine.
every 90 minutes.
Find a lunar. Just go to pick a lunar somewhere. I'm just kind of curious. Like, what's the dates? That's the next 30 days.
7/31 to 9/8.
All right, and then calculate, and then kind of scroll in, zoom in on the map.
Yep. So let's
Just pick a moon one. Just any one. I don't care.
Just any moon one.
Yeah, any moon
okay,
one.
so let's say Tiangong. That'll be 8/14.
So you would have to be on that
That's way
line.
too far from Coachella Valley.
That's
Well,
way
that's
out
what I'm
there.
saying, Steve. You just choose the one that's relatively in the area that you want it to be.
I'll play with it.
And yeah, that's the thing. You play with this thing, and you can find a transit. So, but let's do this as an example. So let's say I wanted to measure the altitude of this fucking thing. One guy would be here, As you can see, it'll be towards the top of the moon. One guy would be here. As you can see, it's towards the bottom of the moon. And we can get a parallax measurement that way. Bruh, this shit's
That's
easy.
awesome.
No, that's only you only have one line. You can't just make up.
Well, no, but you still have on the other. Dude,
You
on
only-
both
you
sides of
only
the
have
line, you
one
got
line.
parallax. Clearly,
One line, you would have
Between the two people on the ground,
You would
you
have
can measure
three.
that you guys are, say, a mile apart, but you don't have any other sides of the triangle. You're just
you have
making up
the
numbers.
angles.
You have
That's
the
why
angles.
you figure out the sides.
Did you take geometry? If you know the internal angles of a triangle, you could determine the size by using trigonometric functions.
And,
But it's
and
curved.
also keep in mind, to answer your original question of this, this is literally how we did it. This is a transit corridor. If you're anywhere within this strip, you will see a transit. Now, how good of a transit is going to be depends on where you are in this corridor. So what we did was we said, okay, here's the center line. If you're right there in the middle, you will see this motherfucker go right down the middle of the moon. Okay, so we're going to be slightly off to the side. We'll be slightly off to the side. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. You
Here's
have
the thing,
a
Reg.
parallax measurement.
I still am humbled by your awesomeness. Don't get me wrong, but I really did think that Astronomy Live, for some reason, you did like some programming stuff, and he did all the calculations to come up with.
Oh,
when you did
fuck
this.
no.
Which would have been really cool. I mean, there's still an achievement. Don't get me wrong, but I was.
No,
yeah.
we do.
You're not lesser to me in my eyes. Don't
Don't
worry. You're not lesser to me.
Listen, we do simple shit. This is shit so easy a flat earther could do it, which means flat earthers don't.
Well,
I
I'm
can't
just
do
saying you can't measure the distance to the moon.
We don't
in-
need to
in the
measure the
sun.
distance to the moon.
Those measurements are fake, they're just
Cool.
phony
We weren't
practice.
measuring the distance to the moon, though. We were measuring the distance to the ISS and the altitude of the ISS.
But didn't you use the moon to measure it?
No.
Or you used what they told you?
Why would you need that?
No, so the only things relating to the moon that they used in their observation to get the results was, one, Astronomy Live measured the angular size of the moon, which is what they needed to get what the parallax difference between their two tracks were, and they used the moon as a visual backdrop. That is it.
Yeah, so you didn't,
exactly.
you didn't use all your own
also,
numbers.
You can't get
You
much
guys
more
didn't use
simpler
all
than
your
that.
own numbers.
Yes, they did.
But also keep this in mind. There's one extra part of this. My video was only the first video. My video is actually a two-parter. People don't understand this. Astronomy Live has his own video on that observation, and in his video, he didn't use the moon at all. He only used the moon as a backdrop, but he didn't use any measurements from the moon itself. He based his measurements purely on the stars.
Ooh.
Not
Well,
using
that's
the moon
still
at
numbers
all.
given to you. There's no way you could go out there and see look at the moon and measure how far the moon is without numbers given to you.
Hey, Jared, a few more no's. 3 more
So
no's.
if you had a blank piece of paper,
Shut up for a second.
Well, you just keep saying no, but I'm saying if you have a blank piece of paper,
talking. Shut
you don't
up
get the
for a
question.
second. Shut up for a second, and you'll hear why I'm saying no. The reason why I'm saying no is because Astronomy Live didn't use anyone else's numbers. He used numbers that he measured and derived himself.
The distance of the stars, you guys just said. He used the distance of the stars.
Distance to the stars is the angular separation between them. That can be independently measured. The angular separation between two objects is not the same as the distance to those objects themselves. Understand the difference.
Okay, so y'all went out there with a blank piece of paper and did the math.
No. Okay. When we were finding the location, we didn't do any math. Literally, the website did the fucking thing for us. And if it works, it works. Great. So you got me there. Other people did some work for us. The people who made that Transit Finder website, which is fucking awesome. But everything else after that, that was all us. And when it comes to measuring the angular size of the moon, which is what was needed, did you know that you can do that yourself?
By what? Taking a picture and measuring the picture?
Oh, you can, yeah. So
holding up a ruler to the sky?
There is a way to measure, like if an object is so big across, it can be at a certain distance away from you where it will be a certain angular size. So let's say I cut a 1 foot wide circle and I have it at a certain distance away from me that it is exactly 0.53 degrees wide in my field of view. I can hold that up at that distance next to the moon, and it will be exactly the same size. Therefore, the moon is exactly 0.53 degrees wide as seen from Earth. Now I have a reference that I can use to measure the parallax of the transit.
Yeah, you can just keep adding zeros to it and making
No,
it
you
like farther and
can't.
farther away.
No, you fucking can't.
I don't know. The math doesn't seem right. It just seems like
Well, of course it doesn't. You don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, so
it's
go ahead, Jared. Let Jared.
we're getting back to the fundamental question that I asked a little bit ago. Now, you keep denying and dismissing these methodologies. How did you come to the determination that led you to dismiss these methodologies and results?
Once I found out like the moon landing seems very fishy, I just started questioning.
How did you come to that?
And then it just looks all, and then the numbers that they give us.
Okay, so what numbers were you looking at?
How did
the speed of light? The speed of light. And
how
then
did
they're
you come to
saying,
it? Walk me through the process. Don't just make more claims. Walk me through the process of how you came to the determination that this stuff is bunk.
Okay, so it was, first of all, the moon landing seemed really fake. And then
how did it,
and then you're telling me to walk you through it.
Well, yeah, but
you're
you can't just jump from claim to
it.
claim. How does it look?
So next, so after that, I found out what the speed.
No, I'm going to put the kibosh on that. Jared asked you a straightforward question, and you're just not going to gish out from one to the other. We don't allow that here. It's not a sequitur show. So you said it looked fake. How did it look fake?
The footage looks completely ridiculous.
Why? How? What did you determine? What did you use to determine that it was? Did you do any kind of error level analysis? Did you use any kind of like photos, photography skill sets that you have? What did you use to determine it wasn't real? And then show us how you came to that.
Looking at the footage.
That's not an argument.
Oh, that worked out.
So
like
your own presuppositions of what it looked like and it not matching.
Yeah, and that started making me question space. And then the speed of light.
So because of your unintelligent framework that you were starting from, that's why you've determined it's all bunk.
Well, at least he admitted he has done no analysis on it. So he's admitted that he's done no analysis on any of it. He's just saying, okay, it just looks funky. Okay.
Look at it. I mean, you can't look at it and be like, okay, that looks very fishy.
Well, there's a car in
and
space.
then the fact that they destroyed the whole story behind
a car
it.
in space with a mock spaceman driving it in space right now that looks generally fake, but it's real. Looks could be deceiving. So who the hell? Yeah, does it look fake? Yeah, it looks fake. So what? Doesn't mean that it is fake. I can totally say
that's how you know it's real because it looks so fake.
Well,
okay,
but that was your question.
No. Hang on. We know it's real because Astronomy Live tracked it in space.
What, the car?
Yes, the fucking car.
Yeah.
He has a video on his channel tracking Starman.
So I'm just saying there's no way you can measure the distance to the moon from the ground. Or the distance to the sun.
How did you go from A to Z?
Dude.
Because he asked me why I think space is fake, and the first thing
that's not what he said.
Not why. How you came to the conclusion.
He wants to know your methodology. He wants to know what method you used to come to these conclusions, what expertise you had, what analysis you did. So you did no analysis whatsoever.
You can't measure stuff in the sky.
That's not my question. You did no analysis whatsoever, correct?
Hey guys, this just in. You apparently can't measure stuff in the sky. Please ignore my previous video where I did just
measure
that.
Stuff in the sky. So we just want you to make sure that everybody is understanding that you did no experimentation, you did no measurement, you did no observations, you did nothing scientific, you did nothing whatsoever.
So you can tell the distance of the sun when you can't see stars.
That's a yes or no question. Yes or no? You did absolutely nothing.
I wasn't really listening.
Well, clearly.
Thank you for being honest.
And I respect that. So maybe listen a little bit, and I'm going to ask
you
again.
I heard red.
I'm going to ask you again.
And then I was thinking.
I'm going to ask you again. Did you do any experimentation, observations, mathematical analysis, error level analysis, anything whatsoever besides just go, oh, I'm looking at it, it doesn't look real? Did you do anything above that? It's a yes or no question.
I mean, what else can you do? What else can I do?
Dude, it's like you're answering a question with a question.
All I can do is just hang on.
So
no.
Okay.
No, all I can do is look at the
All right,
footage that they gave
now
me.
we can move on to the next. Jared, are you satisfied on that? Because I am.
That pretty much ends it right there. He did nothing to actually put some rigor to what he's claiming.
You can't prove the moon landing without looking at the evidence that they gave us.
What was the next thing you went to? Because you already answered that one to my satisfaction. So what was the next thing?
We still haven't even gotten back to the space station.
Steve, my question was about the totality of his claims, is how he came, not just what the claims were, how he came to the result that's and fair, justification.
Be specific. And be fair to him. He already answered how one of his claims. He has nothing to give evidential for wise. But what would be something else you could say? Give people a little more specific than that, Jared. Get some detail.
I mean, how can y'all prove the moon landing was real without just looking at the footage?
Let's stick with this.
When you look at it, it looks real to you.
Right, go ahead,
when I look at it, it looks fake. So
I'm going to make the same exact offer that I have made to multiple flat earthers, and no one has taken me up on it.
I'm not going to play Kerbal Space Program.
I'm not saying play Kerbal Space Program. Okay, so you're located around the Dallas area. So here's what I'm willing to do. You have two options, and I would prefer you pick the first option. But if not, whatever, we can pick the second option. First option. I will allow you to remotely control my scope during a transit. Not just a transit, but a transit where Astronomy Live is also on scene, and we will measure the altitude of the space station in real time. Now, if that's not good enough for you, if you think I can do real-time CGI with the power of a fucking laptop, then we'll do the next thing.
I'm not that big of a conspiracy theorist, so I mean,
well, you never know now.
Yeah, moon hoax is pretty big conspiracy theory.
But here's the thing. Hoax. If that's not good enough for you, then maybe in a few months from now, we will actually travel to Dallas, and you will be with us in person to measure the altitude, the size, and the speed of the International Space Station. In order for that to be a thing where we will go ahead and set it into stone and we will pick a date in the future, you just have to say yes.
I love Dallas. I'd fly to Dallas for that.
Yeah. And you have to say yes to this next question. If you do this observation with us and with the math that you do yourself, if you come to the conclusion that the ISS is over 400 kilometers in altitude, traveling over 7 kilometers a second, thus orbital velocity, remember, you're doing this yourself. Will you accept it?
Yeah, sure, yeah. But I also travel to Florida quite often.
Oh, so. Boy.
Oh, well, even better.
Yeah. That would make life so much easier for me. So if we do this with you on location and you do the observation yourself,
I think the city that you did it, your main one, is like Baker City or something like that you went to.
What?
I don't know. You went to some city where your main one a few years ago was.
That well, we did two. So the first one was in a place called Venice.
Well, then the other one, I guess.
No, the other one. The other one was in Clearwater.
The one where you did it by yourself.
That one was not an observation where we measured anything or that I measured anything because you need two. But the first one I ever did was in Bowling Green, Florida.
Yeah, something like that. All right, yeah. I don't know. I just think the footage is really phony looking when their 24-hour International Space Station footage.
Forget about what the space station itself is doing. This is something that we are going to do. We're not going to consult NASA at all during this process. So we will have no connection to them. This is just going to be you, me, Astronomy Live, and we're going to measure the ISS. So you're on location with us. You are taking control of the scope, and you are going to collect the footage. After you collect the footage and after you do the math, and we'll walk you through it, we'll go through it step by step because you'll literally be involved in the process. And if after all is said and done, the conclusion is that the ISS is in space at over 400 kilometers in altitude and traveling at over 7 kilometers a second, will you accept it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I guess it's so hard to believe with these numbers, but I mean,
yeah, it may be hard to believe before you even do it.
But I'm seeing some footage of some you know how like the astronauts will disappear and people are like, oh, it's CGI.
That's called a phase transition, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm just talking about this observation. But
I'm seeing CCTV where it's happening on on
But to
Earth.
be clear, after the observation is done, if the conclusion at the end of the day is that the ISS is in space, you will accept it, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, it might just be a set. Like,
Not,
I still don't think
not
there's people
okay,
up there.
I mean, or
I
whatever.
don't think
No
there's people up there.
qualifiers on it whatsoever. You will accept it point blank, yes or no?
Yeah, well, I kind of already accept that there's something up there. So, but I don't know.
Wait, you accept that
Yes.
something's
So
up?
yes.
So what is up there?
I mean, it's just the footage that they give us seems so fake and phony, and they're like on
That's irrelevant.
screen.
What is up there?
I get they call it science,
That
but 18,000 pounds of science.
again, that's not an answer. What's up there?
Science.
Science is not an answer. Science is a subject.
What are you talking about? Your little
what's in a
Falcon
plane?
9 just sent
in a
up
balloon?
5,800 pounds of science to the international. That's what they said they were sending up there. They were sending up 5,800 pounds of science.
So
materials for experimentation and other.
So it's just a bunch of materials they threw up there. You think it's hovering?
Of nothing. I don't even think it connects
to what?
Well, see, there's a funny thing.
I don't know.
If you're in the right location with the right telescope, you can actually watch the capsule dock with the ISS.
Yep.
You sound like the mud flosser, but it just seems really fake.
I got a question for you.
But you would be doing
Seems
this yourself.
fake does
Would
not
you still
mean it
say it's
is
fake
fake.
after the fact.
Yeah, he already said he would go, which we know was not true. But April Van Ryan for Fight Art Canadian says, I honestly believe you could take him to the moon and he'd say it's not real because he doesn't see cheese anywhere. That I agree with. Same thing with you see. He even said, look, if I even saw this with my own eyes, I would believe that God is somehow twisting my senses, which is weird for a guy that God that would not lie. For an all-powerful being to create a flat Earth merely to confuse your senses is incoherent. It doesn't even. It's something not even a rational line of argumentation.
I'm not saying the Earth is flat because God says it's flat. That was kind of ridiculous.
the guy.
But you're Christian.
Yeah,
you claim to be Christian, right?
What?
You claim to be Christian, right?
No.
Okay, so what is your reasoning for flat Earth if it's not for religious purposes? Because that's usually what it is. But in your case, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
I just think there's no measurable curve still.
Yeah. Now, so I have a quick question. So then you guys get back to your thing. So you keep on saying though the math, the numbers don't add up. The numbers don't seem right. Is that correct?
Yeah, like the speed of light, for instance.
Right. So how do the numbers not seem correct if you haven't even used the numbers in any formulas or any kind of mathematical analysis to determine whether the numbers are the correct data or not?
Let me know when I'm visible.
Do you understand the question?
No, I didn't really. I was kind of spacing off.
Okay, Jared, can you put in a flipper speak for me while I do this?
Look, that looks fake.
Okay,
that just looks fake. It looks like.
I wanted to
that
answer
is
my
literally
question
an
first.
image taken from Astronomy Live's telescope, dude. This is our image of the space station. This isn't from NASA. This isn't from SpaceX. This isn't from anyone other than Astronomy Live and Astronomy Live's telescope. This white spot right here, that's the SpaceX Dragon. Right here, these are the solar panels. These white things right here, those are the radiators. You can see all of this yourself with a telescope, and we're offering you a chance to see it for yourself and measure its altitude and its speed.
Yeah. Hey, does Astronomy's Live telescope, like, if he pointed it out, like at the sea, how far can he see? Like out to sea, if he pointed it out.
I would imagine as far as the atmosphere would allow, and as long as it's not being obscured by the curve of the Earth.
Have you talked to him about trying to go out to the beach and just seeing how far he can see?
Well, he captured a SpaceX Falcon 9 landing beyond the curve, so that was fun.
How did you describe that?
He described it as the SpaceX Falcon 9 first stage landing beyond the curve.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, what was his explanation for how it was possible for him to see it?
Because the telescope has the ability to magnify objects.
But you said behind the curve. Was it like the behind the curve? I don't get it.
Okay,
If something is significantly tall enough, and you have sufficient angular resolution on your optical device, you can see
You don't
an
gotta
object.
talk all condescending like a fucking weirdo. But yeah, I was asking
You
Red.
also
Like, how
you
did,
don't have to be a disingenuous asshat, but here we are.
Yep, pretty much.
I don't. You
Yeah,
said
Jared.
you saw the landing behind the curve. How did he see it behind the curve? Or was that behind the curve thing a joke?
No, the behind the curve thing was not a fucking joke, dude.
Well, how do you see it if it was behind the curve?
It was landing behind the curve. Eventually, it was above it, and then it went below it.
Oh, so he didn't see the landing. He just saw it coming down.
No, he saw the landing.
A couple of super chats. Heat Shell, $2.
Can I just say fuck it and share the video?
It's your video.
I think that will solve a lot of problems if I just say
you were gonna show. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Heat Shell for $2 says send this asshole to Shamrock Banks Observatory. I would assume that's an observatory close to him somewhere. Tim Pryor for $10 more says, I love how he is already trying to figure out a way to deny it before even doing it, which is why I wanted to. I wanted him to answer that question.
I'm guilty of good chat.
I wanted him to
I was
answer
trying
the
to
question.
deny it before saying
I wanted
yes.
him to answer the question is, how does he know the numbers are not good if he hasn't done any analysis on the numbers? I don't understand how he can make that determination, and he hasn't ever answered that question. I don't
the
think
speed of light. I'm just saying, you can't measure the speed of light, and then you can't measure.
So have you
the
ever
sun or the moon?
So have you ever? Hang on. Have you ever used C in any kind of formula of any kind of capacity to figure out anything ever?
I don't know.
Do you know?
Have I ever used coronavirus?
No. That's not. It's not an answer. By the way, I mean this with all due respect. The next time you answer a question with a question, you get a timeout because I don't have the time for that. Don't answer questions with questions. You answer answers with answers. Okay. So, have you ever done any math that required a formula that had C as a constant in that formula? It's a simple yes or no question. Don't have to take time to think about it.
Yes.
Okay. What formula did you use?
The A plus B equals C.
That's not
that.
Okay. First of all,
that was a variable, not a constant.
No.
That's
A stands for one apple.
Okay.
And A is always one for A.
I'm going to put you a little bit of mute there because now you're just being ridiculous, and I don't have time for that right now. Reds, while he's muted, go and play the video because now he's. I think he's gone to Poe territory now.
There we go. Anyway, so this is the SpaceX CRS-17 commercial resupply service. This is the Falcon 9 first stage coming back down. This footage was filmed by Astronomy Live through his telescope, and if we play it through, you will see there, right here. This is the water. This is the horizon. Watch what it does. Boom.
Oh, look at that! You could still see the top of it.
You could still see the top of it, and also let me show one more thing.
That could have been breeze.
Hang on. Let me show one more thing. Got to pause at the right moment here. Right here, this up plume. This is what happens when it comes into contact with the surface of the drone ship. You see this up plume right here. So
is that water?
It was far enough off the shore that you could still see the top of the rocket, but the drone ship was still obscured by the curve of the Earth. And that's it. That's how it landed.
So that wasn't an island. That was water in front of it.
That was water in front of it. Yes, correct. It landed on the drone ship, the actual ship that the Falcons land on offshore. So you can see right here.
No. Do the flat Earth word of choice. Interesting.
That's why I said it. All right, take it easy, guys.
Peace.
Okay, cool.
I gotta go. Sorry.
Cool. Well, we gotta wrap it up anyways. We're well over a 2-hour time. So
yeah, pretty
Reds,
much.
I'm sorry you got destroyed. I hope your reputation kind of gets rebuilt after this thorough ass kicking you got today through all 2 hours of this. So
the guy who 69's God.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't quite say the positions, but yeah. Again, you know what? I'm going to look more into some of his videos. I could look. I'm not going to sit through 8 hours of video when he has like 100 videos and stuff. And I'm gonna just like do some more watching of some of his videos, because like I said, if he's a Poe, that dude is dedicated, man. Because I don't know what
he's a dedicated Poe. They do exist. And here's the thing. The crowd has spoken. We have votes. 65% say that he's a Poe.
I don't listen to people in my live chat. You know that.
I know. And while it might,
and he might be right. Look, I'm wobbling on it. Look, you might be right. He might be a complete Poe, but dude, you could say this vote is argument from popularity,
argumentum ad populum. That's fine. Whatever. I don't give a shit. He's a fucking Poe. 100%. He's a Poe.
So what about this other guy? This
not a Poe, but a troll. He admitted it.
Yeah,
earlier.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that.
He's a troll, and probably
I'm gonna go with he's a complete
dumbass.
troll. Yeah, he's just a complete troll. I don't think he believes any of this nonsense. Look, when you ask what about C, and he goes, hey, please, yeah, he's a complete troll. 100% troll, not a Poe, but troll. And this is the differences.
I bet he doesn't even know what C is.
I think he does, because he kept wanting to go to the issue that is surrounding the speed of light, which the issue around the speed of light is not what the value is. It's the question of, is that the one-way or two-way speed of light, which goes into the methodology of how you actually measure it.
And that would be a good argument. The problem with that is the fact is, yes, we take it as a precept. That Jason Lyles, on his asynchronous light transmission argument, he utilizes that principle that, hey, look, we don't know whether it's light travels between one object to another object, half of the time in one speed, half the time coming back at another speed. We have no idea. We assume that light travels equally in all directions, right? That is a presupposition. Yes, I fully admit that. But mathematically, light could travel from here to Mars instantaneously in one direction, right? And then come back what would math be? So, would it be 2 times C, one direction, and instantaneously back?
Yeah,
and then the average would be C. Yeah, it could be. We have no idea. The problem is there's no way to test for that. But we would have to say, look, light has a propensity to travel different speeds in different directions. That makes no sense, because why would we violate Occam's razor by adding all these multiplicities of entities that we don't need?
Well, and even then, the fun part about that is I've recommended an apparatus that I've used to do my own measurement of C that no one has really gotten too in depth on how it doesn't measure the one-way speed, because what I've done is actually do 2 photosensors, a known distance apart, light source on one end, a known distance away from the first one, and then go to a timing oscilloscope and measure the time between the pulses the light hits the first one and then the second one.
Yeah, but again, it still has to be the light has to travel at the same speed at all distances, at all, like 380 degrees.
I'm going to go ahead and jet here, but before I do, I'm going to say, that first guy was a Poe, the second guy was a troll, and probably colossal dumbfuck, and I'm going to say, Steve, that was a good find there. Good find, that guy.
Dude, it's hard to find people for you, man. What do you want? Give me a break, man.
I mean, I don't know.
By the way, he did. I don't think he knew who you were. I really don't. That I do think he was telling the truth on. I don't think he really knows you.
I mean, that's fine.
Sorry for your ego.
I'm just saying, like, the very moment he said that he was having sex with God.
Yeah, right. And by the way, he has called in the atheist experience before, so people are saying, yeah, his voice sounded familiar. Yes. Tim Pryor from Radar says, you don't listen to people in your live chat. Ouch, that cut really deep right now. LOL. Yeah, of course I do. And I'm gonna say on the final tally, yes, the first person you see, I think he is a Poe, and the second person is he's a straight up troll. Jared, what say you?
Oh, I agree. Definite Poe on the first one.
The Trinity here, the Holy Trinity of Jared, Reds, and myself, all are in agreement on across the board. Wow, interesting.
Sweet.
Well, here's the thing, though. I paid attention to what the second kid said at the beginning, and when we were talking,
he said he trolls, right?
Yeah, he admitted to being a troll,
right?
Yeah, he did
early on.
And I agree with you. So that's how you determine whether somebody's. Hang on one quick before you leave. This was a good educational video on how to make a determination between who actually believes something. We all three believe what we believe. A Poe who basically is acting like they believe something they don't actually believe, and then a troll who just wants to fuck with people. This was actually good. So thank you, Reds and Jared.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
So with that, thanks for watching the Non-Sequitur Show. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I am out of here. Peace out. Fuck you, Steve.
Good night, all. Don't forget to like.